me today. So I personally teach in both the grad and the undergrad program, sport management, kinesiology, and our master's in sport and athletic administration. And I also brought Dr. Nicole Calkins over here. Want to say something about yourself a little?
Yes, I am the program director for the Kinesiology and Physical Education department, and I teach primarily the pedagogy classes. I teach strength and conditioning, team sports methods, motor development. So those are some of my specialties. And then my counterpart, Dr. Bo Burris, and I'll let him introduce himself. He also teaches in the Kinesiology and Physical Education program.
Yeah, hello everyone. As Dr. Calkins said, I teach in that same area. My specialty is in exercise physiology, so I teach our anatomy and physiology course, our exercise phys, fitness assessment, exercise programming, all of those classes on that side. And we also have Dr. Jimmy Smith here with us today, who teaches on the sport management side.
I guess I'll introduce myself. I thought you were going to do that, Bo. I'm Dr. Jimmy Smith. I teach sport management. I typically teach the sport marketing courses as well as several grad level courses.
Okay, sorry, I'm having a hard time navigating. There's so many people on my screen. So we're just going to tell you a little bit about our two programs, and I'm kind of going to let Dr. Calkins take over because she teaches one of our introductory courses to the majors, if you will. And she's got a lovely PowerPoint to kind of tell you the differences of our two programs.
Going back to college then?
Yeah. Sports Management and Physical Education Department, BS Ed in Sports Management.
Yeah, so hi again, I'm Dr. Nicole Calkins, and so I'm just going to share a little introduction. I've taught the Foundations of Kinesiology and Sport Management course for a number of years. So I'm just going to go through a little bit about the degrees that we offer. So in our department, we have a bachelor's in sport management, and then we also have a bachelor's in kinesiology and physical education. And with that degree, we also have concentrations in fitness specialists, and then students can choose also a teacher certification route. Students can also choose a minor in sport management, and I'll let Dr. Smith talk a little bit more about minors that are associated with the sport management degree as we go through this presentation. So one thing is we want to make sure people understand, because in our program you have the two different degrees, what some of the differences would be. And so this graphic here just gives you a sense of sport management is a very broad degree, and there are a number of different places that you can go with sport management. You can see that there's the entertainment industry, support services, participation. And so our degree prepares for a broad range of going into that industry. And then students can choose more to specialize and get minors, whether it be in, they want to do more event management or marketing management. And so through our courses, we really try and help students narrow down what they're very interested in regards to sport management. And so we like to say that if you're going into sport management, it's pretty much everything that surrounds an activity. So you're not necessarily coaching the athletes, you're not training the athletes, you're helping to set up physical activity opportunities for individuals. We have a number of different internships. So in sport management, you're required to do 2 different internships if you do the major. And so some of our students have done internships for major events organizations such as Bloomsday, Hoot Fest, the Rose Bowl, Ironman. We have the Spokane Chiefs, and I know one that's also up here is the Spokane Indians. So we have minor league baseball. This is minor league hockey within Spokane. In terms of major league, we've had people working with San Francisco Giants, Seattle Seahawks, and then of course we have a lot of students working for our own Gonzaga sports teams. So men's and women's basketball, soccer, and baseball. So I know those are actually pretty coveted positions, working with marketing for our Gonzaga basketball teams. So there are the opportunities there as well.
Yeah, so I tried to sort of vary the list of internships that are on there. Obviously, there's lots in there that are Spokane-based internships, but like Dr. Calkin said, they're highly coveted because there's 150 sport management students and not 150 internship positions. So I did put a couple down there, like kind of on the bottom of that list, that San Francisco Junior Giants, Seahawks, which, that's just two. Basically, at any place that you all live, wherever you all are from, whether you're Colorado, Florida, wherever you are, you will have major sporting events and teams, community recreation centers, kids sports camps that you could intern in your hometown to. It does not need to be in Spokane. I should say, to clarify that. So just sort of know that off the top of my head, as I was trying to help Dr. Calkins put this together, I was like, oh gosh, and they all were Spokane-based places, but people literally all over the country as well as the world. We have international students that intern at tennis camps, basketball camps, not coaching, but they're doing the logistics around that sport. So, I mean, Przemek Karnowski interned in Poland. So, like, how cool is that? So, okay, sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
Oh, no, perfect. So then that just leads into our kinesiology and physical education program. And so with this program, essentially we have two separate tracks really that a student could choose. So with the kinesiology route, they can choose fitness specialist, and that might mean working in health and fitness settings using exercise science concepts, fitness leadership. That could be working as strength and conditioning coaches, exercise physiologists. And then students could also choose the physical education route to get teacher certification. So that could also mean a number of our students are interested in coaching, whether that's at different levels or working in a school setting. So within this program, there really are two tracks where students can choose to specialize in either, and they would take additional courses based upon what their professional goals are for this degree. And then there's a number of different internships. Again, this is just a short list, but in fitness specialist, we have great relationships with Deliberate Strength, U District Physical Therapy, PT Associates, Spokane CrossFit. And then on the physical education side, number of our elementary, high school, middle schools throughout the Spokane area as far as where our students are placed into schools. So there's just a lot of different opportunities for great internships with our program. Dr. Burr, is there anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I would just say on the fitness specialist side, we also have a lot of students interested in graduate school. Just this past year, we had students go on to athletic training programs. We have two that are going to be starting at Seattle University's new master's program in kinesiology. We've had students go on to study muscle physiology, as well as like clinical ex-phys, where they're now working in like cardiac rehab facilities within hospitals. So the kinesiology fitness specialist side really is very broad-based, and then can use that degree to kind of go in a lot of different avenues.
Okay. And this is the end here, so I'm just going to stop. Did anyone want me to go back?
If I could jump in here, we do have a question from one of our attendees.
Yes.
The question is, when do we have our first internship to do? That is sort of a loaded question because ideally we'd like you to do your internships in your junior year, maybe even in your senior year. But we work with you, but we don't hand internships to our students very often. We have our students take the accountability to find their own internship. So if one comes along and just so happens to be in your sophomore year and it's at a fantastic opportunity, that is available to you. However, we tend to want our students to get their feet wet with their curriculum, their social lives, their academic life, and so on before they start their internship. So I hope that answered that question there.
Yeah, that's a good question. And also, I mean, like Dr. Smith said, that sometimes there's an opportunity that comes up. We had a student many years ago when I first started at GU, and he had an opportunity at the Olympic Training Center in Colorado. And we were like, ooh, gosh, how do you pass that one up? Mm-hmm. He had taken the initiative. He got the interview. They said, yes, we would like to offer you this internship. So he clearly passed their maturity test. And oftentimes, quite honestly, that's part of the issue is like, it's a matter of maturity as well as content, having that under your belt, like Dr. Smith referred to. So I thought, well, gosh, they're pretty legit. It's not like it's some, one person show saying, hey, yeah, I'm going to take you in for an internship. And we have had those experiences where our students or said, hey, so-and-so offered me an internship and it's a 1 or 2 person operation. And I'm like, are you sure you're not going to just be emptying the garbage? Because that's not what we want for you to do in your internship, which you may have to empty the garbage, but you also have to work your way up and gain some real experiences. It's like he said, it's sort of a little bit of a loaded question, but it's in theory, we'd want you to have it quite a bit later in your program, junior, senior year. Those people that you'll be interning under, they will be your references possibly. They may have jobs that are coming open. And if you intern your freshman, sophomore year, they're like, wait, Finn, who? I don't remember you at all, right? So, and you just popped up in my screen, Finn. So, you know what I'm saying? So you want to sort of build that repertoire on your resume and say, oh yeah, that person can be a point of contact for me, a reference for me. So thinking about it as you move out into the world after you graduate too is going to be important. So good question.
And the same individual asked a follow-up question about just in the US or anywhere in the world, and wherever you can secure an internship that would best lead to your initial career into the sport industry, physical education, or fitness industry, we say go for it. And not only are we holding our students accountable for finding their own internships, but we also want them to let them know that we can certainly connect them with alumni that are already in the field. We have many alumni that are working in the sport industry just in Spokane, but really all over the country that we always connect our students with when it's appropriate.
Yeah. And so, kind of to tag upon that, at least on the sport management side, I can't speak so much for the kinesiology side. We've had students intern, like I mentioned, Shemek Karnowski in Poland, another gal who's a tennis player in Germany, did her internship at her club there. So she helped all the promotions and the marketing, trying to get kids to sign up for their tennis camps. We've had students, and I want to say she was a grad student, but I could be wrong, did one in China as well. So really it's wherever you can get a job. And Susan's asking, are they paid or are they volunteer? Hey, more power to you. If you can get a paid internship, go for it. So oftentimes people will tell me, hey, I got a job with Skyhawk Sports in Spokane or wherever their city is. And I'm like, okay, it's a job, but actually that counts as an internship. And so you as a student have academic assignments that you are responsible for turning in online. So it definitely can be a job. It can be paid. Oftentimes internships will have stipends at the end of them, whether it's, $1,000, $1,500 or something like that, or they just give you other bonuses. They say, okay, well, you can have free food or something like that. So they absolutely can be paid and whatnot.
Dr. Smith, do you see the question about what's a good major to have?
Yes, and I would love to answer that question because I am neck deep in those conversations with my advisees currently. And a lot of the popular minors that are paired with a sport management major line up with the business school. And there's many minors within the business school that can be taken advantage of. And the general business minor, which dabbles in some accounting and economics and so on. But there's more focused minors in the business school, such as promotions, which is a strong marketing component, analytical finance as well. And then there's some other schools, the public relations minor, broadcasting, and journalism are all kind of popular to pair with a sport management major.
And I think to go off that, it kind of goes back to that slide I was showing just in terms of if you know that there is an area you're really wanting, so if you really want finance, then it might be a good idea to major more in finance or business and then get a minor in sport management. But if you are unsure of where you just know you want to work in sports, I would recommend, and maybe Dr. Smith could agree with this, a major in sport management and then you maybe choose another minor. So I think some students are less sure about what area they want to go in sports, and that's why a sport management major really helps them to get experience and understanding knowledge in all of those different areas that we shared so that they can maybe then, in the future choose a more specific area.
Yeah, and it's all based on the conversations that we have with our students, the rapport that we build with them, and really have them have the opportunity to understand what it is they're interested in. The courses that Dr. Calkins teaches, as well as some other of our faculty, the Intro to Sport Management and Physical Education and Fitness, is a really great course because it kind of pushes, I don't want to say forces, but pushes the envelope for students to start really thinking about, okay, what jobs are out there and what would I really like to do? And then after those types of courses, those initial courses, that's when we sit down and start talking about some of the options that really pair nicely with what you want to do and what minors are out there.
So then there's the question of the minor when you have to decide. And I think for the most part, it's your junior year. I mean, you have until that time, for the most part, if you're planning it right, you wouldn't have to know your minor until your junior year.
And that question, I'm going to have Dr. Rickle answer that question because she's a very good individual to answer that double major question.
I kind of want to go back to the minor choosing question. It is registration time right now for fall 2020, and I've had, I don't know, 8 juniors email me and say, I want to start my major in sport management. And I'm like, So the problem is, if they haven't taken that very first course that Dr. Smith was referring to, of the EDPE 190, our very introductory course, if they haven't taken it right away by freshman year, even first semester sophomore year, I can't prioritize that minor over a major. So if Caitlin says she comes in and she's going to major in sport management and she needs a certain course, and Janie says, well, as a junior, I want to decide I want to minor in sport management, I have to take care of Caitlin first, because you have to have a major. You don't need to have a minor. A minor is like I don't know if anyone's wearing a scarf or a sweatshirt or anything today, right? So it's something that's extra on top of what you're doing. You absolutely must have a major. So I guess I would say, if you're even thinking about sport management or kinesiology, which I'll have Dr. Burris talk more about kinesiology, you should absolutely indicate that as you come in your freshman year, and we can at least get you into one class. So you kind of test the waters. That's really what our hope is, that you kind of test the waters and go, okay, yeah, that was a good idea, not a good idea. But if you've got at least 1, possibly 2 classes in by your junior year, then it's way more doable. Trying to get 8 classes in 4 semesters is a challenge. So does that make sense on the minor? Okay. What was the other question? Do many people do double majors? All right, Susan, I'm going to get on a soapbox. You ready? I'm going to jump on my soapbox. I'm really short, so I'm going to jump on my soapbox. Very few people choose double majors because I discourage it highly. I mean, in short, that's what I do. You need 128 credits to graduate from Gonzaga University. And that averages out to 16 credits a semester over 4 years. Unless a person comes in with a whole bunch of credits, and I will use one of my, he's a junior right now, as an example. He brought in 24 credits. So that's basically a semester and a half that he brought in. He first chose he first chose sport management, then he went to business, and then he came back the summer before his junior year and said, Dr. Rickle, can I double major? And I said, no, you're not going to do it. And I think Dr. Calkins alluded to this, or Smith did. We want you to find balance. We want you to be sleeping, eating, having a social life, just finding balance, having all of those areas of your wellness met. And if you do a double major, you need 158 credits. So that's an entire extra year of credits. Well, this person, like I said, he brought in 24. So you really only needed to find 6 extra credits. So he was in a good space for it. So we fought, gently fought. And right now, this semester is his only semester at 18 credits. All the other semesters, he's at 15 to 16. Because we, as faculty members and admissions folks, we're looking out for you and your well-being. The other handful of students, I would say I've had, in my 15 years at GU, I've had 5 double majors. One has been successful. You can see my finger. One person out of those 5, and this kid too. So 6, 2 of the 6 have been successful. And when I say successful, good grades, happy, good to be around. His roommates can stand him. He exercises, he eats well, and sleeps well. And those are the things that we're looking for at a little tiny school like GU. If I see you in the back and Max looks sleepy in the back of the classroom, I'm like, Max, why do you look sleepy? Max does not look sleepy, just so you know. Do you see what I'm saying? So like, it's for us, we're looking for that, finding that balance for you. Like, is it really doable? Do you really want to take 21 credits a couple of semesters, and you have to take summer school every single semester? That sounds terrible to me. You're already devoting your life to school with an entire academic year. Take the summers off, do an internship in the summer, register for an internship over the summer, go back home, get jobs, gain experiences. But getting 158 credits is not an easy task unless you're bringing a bunch in. So that's my caveat. It is, yes, indeed difficult to manage, Susan. Okay, sorry, that was my soapbox.
Yeah, and I think, does everyone know that Cam here is a student in our sport management degree? So if you have questions about what it's like to be a student and how many credits and those things, Cam is one of my wonderful students right now. She can answer those questions. So Cam, will you wave to everybody?
Say something so it comes up on the screen.
Hi, guys. Yeah, so I'm Cam. I'm a junior, actually, and I'm a sport management major. And then I have 2 minors, actually. So I have a minor in leadership studies and then another minor in promotions, which is one that Dr. Smith had mentioned before. Our leadership studies minor is a bit different. So you would have to apply for that during your fall semester of your freshman year. And it is a 21 credit minor. And then it also gives you an additional $3,000 scholarship that allows you to take an extra 3 credits each semester. So I have taken 21 credits before, which is over like the max. It's not great, exactly what Dr. Urkel was talking about. It's really not something that I would advise for students. You kind of just get tired and a little burnt out by the end of the semester. But if that is something that you are considering in terms of taking 2 minors or having 2 minors, I would definitely just like meet with your advisor, because ultimately it's up to how much you want to push yourself, and then also how much support you'll need from your advisor and those people around you as well to be the most successful.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Cam, that logistically sometimes on paper, and Cam's a planner, like she'll have it all mapped out. These are the classes I'm going to take. And then I go, oh, guess what? We're only offering one section, one semester of that class. And oh gosh, it's at the same time as business management 450. So that's kind of why that one student that's a junior right now, kind of, we went back and forth with his schedule. I was like, I mean, it looks lovely. I would love to say, yes, this will absolutely work. But, we're a tiny school. That is our reality. We don't have 4 or 5 sections of multiple classes. We just don't. So it's a logistic matter too of being able to say, yes, can that work? Can that work out? And we go back to that. I always tell them, you have got to prioritize your major over your minor, or your second minor in that case too. And to be honest, some students are like, okay, I'm just going to go as far as I can with that minor and I'll get 18 out of those 21 credits. I'm like, hey, you're more marketable, right? So if Cam gets to senior year and she's like, oh my gosh, Dr. Rickle, I'm 1 class short of whatever minor. And I'm like, hey, they're not going to not hire you because you're missing 1 class. They're going to hire you because you have all this amazing experience, these internships, you're a go-getter. Obviously, it's not so much tied to that, oh gosh, you have 1 minor or 2 minors, right? So thinking about that is really, that's a really good point, Cam. It's like, okay, it's not fun to manage. And how many times do we as faculty, Cam, say, how are you doing? And ask you?
A lot. Dr. Smith is my advisor, and we definitely talk a lot, not only during quarantine, but just on a regular basis. I'll drop into his office and just either cry or, tell him how much I appreciate him in his class. So
Yeah. No, that's good. She's one of our favorites. So, so Noah's question here, coming in with an AA, would it be like me? What would it be like for me to get a double major in business administration and sport management? So that is, it's a lot easier, Noah, in terms of credit. It's just going to be, again, it's going to be that scheduling sort of issue. You might run into some restrictions in terms of being able to register for certain courses. Like right now, our introductory course, our 190 course, has a restriction of no juniors or above can register, because sometimes we get juniors, like I said, juniors and seniors that need a core class and say, I really want to take this class for my writing enriched component. I'm like, we try to save it for a freshman. So although Noah, you are coming in with an AA, you're our priority to get you graduated all the way through. So it's very possible. I probably have 5 students right now that are either double majors in sport management, or they're minoring in sport management, and they're really trying to navigate, when do I take this class? When do I take that class? So that's the beauty of having a small school like this. I can tell you what our spring 21 schedule is going to be. So it's very doable. But again, Noah, I would say let's have you focus on one rather than the other. So if you have 2 classes that run across from each other, a sport management class and a business class, I'm like, let's prioritize one, and then as the semesters go along, then you can try to pick up the other courses.
So we've talked a lot about sport management. Who out here is kinesiology? Where are the questions about kinesiology? Where are my kinesiology students?
How about Bo Burris can talk a little bit about sort of what your students are doing right now, and the sort of the trend that we've seen in our kinesiology major, because it's been a huge uptick in that major right now. People come over to us and say, I'm really interested in doing this. So Dr. Burris meets with them a lot.
Yeah, so in 2014 or 2013, sorry, we started a fitness specialist concentration. So the kinesiology side just used to be teacher certification. So students who are wanting to become physical education teachers, but we saw trends for people wanting to work in different capacities, athletic training, working with athletes specifically. So we designed that fitness specialist concentration, and it's really taken off to where it's the majority of our students within the kinesiology side of things. We still have pedagogy students who are going on to work in K-12 settings, which is great, and our program is preparing both of them, but we definitely have seen those trends. Just this past week, I was talking with a student of ours who's gonna be starting a graduate program at Northern Colorado, and working specifically in like cancer research. We had 2 that graduated in December that are going off to athletic training programs. Another one I mentioned earlier going to Seattle University's new research program. So a wide range of individuals in classes that they're currently taking. A lot of them are in exercise physiology with me. It's been interesting to do the lab component online since spring break, so we're making do. And one thing I wanted to mention too, the difference in internships on our side, there is only one currently, and we definitely do not advise students to take that early on in the program, because we want them to have those content courses so that when they're out working with individuals, they've had that foundational knowledge base to do that. So I think sport management side is a little bit different, since there are 2. You might have like a varied when you'll take those, maybe as a sophomore, you have first one and then a senior or something. But we definitely recommend our students to take those later on. And we've had students do some really neat internships that Dr. Calkins had already brought up earlier.
Dr. Burris, do you want to mention a little bit about the new lab facility?
Yeah, that'd be great. So last summer, we had a small lab that was serving as our lab space for anatomy and physiology, as well as, or basically all of our classes. And then what happened, our classroom was remodeled that now directly connects to a lab that is dedicated to anatomy and physiology. We have this awesome 75-inch monitor up in the corner, all these new lab tables. So we're really creating better experiences for our students, as well as we have an exercise testing laboratory where we have 2 brand new treadmills. We have cycloergometers where I do primarily all of my research, and a metabolic system there. So the classes that we're able to offer in the lab experiences have dramatically increased, and that are helping our students find new fields that they might not have known without a little bit experience with it. So the new lab spaces are a huge plus to our kinesiology side, and it's really helped grow our program. This year we had, I think between December and January, I think we had 7 new majors come over to our program because they're starting to hear about it. And so we're really trying to market and get that word out. And a lot of you that are here maybe thinking sport management actually might be a better fit on the kinesiology side. And I think that's why taking the 190 course early on is really important. I go in and speak about the fitness specialist. Dr. Calkins speaks about pedagogy. So you kind of hear the different routes out there, because sometimes people come in as sport management thinking that that's kind of under kinesiology and what they're wanting to do. So there are probably a few of you out there that maybe didn't indicate that, but you probably do have an interest within this side of things.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Dr. Burris, because we do our best to get all of our incoming freshmen into that 190 course. We only have so many seats because we only have so many instructors. So right now I'm saving 30 seats for you all. And that's just who showed up, right? I'm saving 30 seats. And if they can't get in that very first semester, then ideally they'll be in spring semester. But as we are in spring semester right now, I have current freshmen that have not taken 190 and they're in sport management, but they really are kinesiology people. Once I start talking to them and they say, oh, I really want to do this and I want to do that. I want to work with athletes. I want to be a strength and conditioning coach. I want to work in exercise physiology. I'm like, oh, you're on the wrong side. So it's going to be really important that you sort of open your mind to that of, you don't know. I mean, you're 17, 18 years old. I'm 50. I'm still rethinking what I want to do. So, I mean, y'all being here it's hard to pick your major, and I 100% get that. So opening your mind to the like, oh yeah, maybe I should try this. Maybe I should try that. And, I said you need 128 credits. Neither of our programs will get you to 128 with the major. So you have wiggle room to take some extra courses over in, the School of Business, in kinesiology, and say, oh, that wasn't for me, or maybe that was for me, and you still are moving toward that 128. Very rarely do we have students that graduate with way over 128. So you have a little bit of wiggle room to say, oh, that choice was not good for me.
And I think to jump in on that too, we have lots of students, we don't want to stress you out that you have to have it figured out when you come in your freshman year, that transition to switching from either kinesiology to sport management or the opposite direction over that summer after their freshman year on campus. We tend to see quite a bit of a switch, and that's fine. You have more than enough time to complete either of those majors, knowing going into your sophomore year.
Someone asked, when do we choose our courses for the freshman year? So I don't know.
Yeah, so if you'd like, Karen, Matt and I can tackle this one from the admission standpoint, but Matt answered it in the chat, which was really great. But if you choose to confirm to GU, there is an academic interest survey, and that goes through our academic advising office, and they will build out your schedule according to that survey and according to your major if you have decided on one yet. And so they'll do that first semester from you. And then after that is when you get to build your own schedule in conjunction with your academic advisor, whether that's a faculty advisor or your professional advisor.
Yeah, and I'll just follow up on that. If you're even thinking sport management or kinesiology, you really want to get into 190. If it's not on your schedule, you can email back to academic advising. Schedule changes are made all the first 5 or 6 days of classes beginning. I say I saved 30 students or 30 seats, but really there's probably more like 40 that I'm hiding 10. So we would just love to have you in that very first course, the very first freshman year, either one of the semesters, just to get that under your belt. And then like Alexa said, you absolutely get to make other choices, but if you have a strong interest, you're way better off taking that 190 course and not needing it later on than trying to get back into it as a sophomore or a junior or something like that. So
Sonia, I see the question about being a human phys major and wanting to minor in kinesiology. Fitness specialists, we don't have a minor in the fitness specialists concentration. Currently, actually, our minor for kinesiology is on hold, so we're not accepting any additional minors for that, just because our program has gone through a revision. So I guess to answer, if you wanted to do the fitness specialist concentration, you'd have to major in kinesiology and then add that concentration. You wouldn't be able to major in human phys. But I guess my question to you back would be, like, what are you most interested in pursuing? And maybe if you can answer what that is, then that might be more helpful in you picking what major would be.
Hey, Nicole, before she responds, would you say that the human phys major definitely can lead to a job in fitness, like the fitness concentration realm? The certification might not be a part of it, but just the career field.
Well, I would say a major difference between human phys and us is human phys is more on the pre-med side. So if you are interested in physical therapy, if you're interested in nursing or those types of professions, that would be the major for you. We do not do pre-med. If you're more interested in something along the lines of strength and conditioning coaching, exercise physiology, our athletic training, our degree would be more a better fit, I would say. And then Dr. Burst, do you want to add a little bit to that?
I agree. It depends upon really what you're going to be doing professionally. You have to look at if that requires graduate school and then which program better sets up with that in terms of course requirements you would have going into those programs. Some are going to be, that Dr. Calkins was talking about, are going to rely a little bit more on the sciences, while others will be a little bit more applied, which would be more of the kines side.
Yeah, and if I could kind of tag on to that, human physiology, like Dr. Calkins said, that is very much pre-med. That is literally who they are, pre-med. You don't have time for anything else. Like that's, it's not really a thing. I mean, you're taking chem, bio, A&P. I mean, it's a full load. And the distinction, so I'm glad you asked that question. I think it was Sonia that looked at that or asked that question, is that by nature of the definition, a concentration means that you are majoring in that school already. So the reason that we have this fitness specialist concentration is because it is part of the kinesiology degree. So like, let's say if you were a business major, then you would have a finance concentration or a marketing concentration. So you have to be in that school already in order to get the concentration. Whereas a minor, you don't have to be enrolled in that school as part of your major. So they're a little bit different. A minor is a little bigger credit-wise, and a concentration is usually fewer credits.
So I see that you're interested in both pre-T and strength and conditioning, and again, it's like, which of those are you most interested in? If you really are interested in physical therapy, I would say human phys, and if you want to start there and you see that chemistry and bio maybe are not the right fit, and I think Dr. Burst can answer this. He advises a number of students come over from human phys after they tried it, saying that it wasn't really the fit because they weren't more on the pre-med side. Just so you know, like we have a course called Strength and Conditioning in our program, of which we teach lifts for strength and conditioning. If you go to the human phys side, you're not going to take a class that teaches how to teach strength and conditioning. So there's a big difference there as far as where you see yourself and what you see yourself doing.
Yeah, I agree with Dr. Calkins on that. What I always tell students, and I have this conversation probably 15 to 20 times per year with a student that's in a very similar situation as yourself. And what I would say is if you want to pursue pre-PT, you need to go human phys. Obviously, we want you as a student, but I want to be realistic with you and where that would set you up better. You could complete our program and still get into PT school, but you'd have to take a bunch of other prerequisite courses. So pre-PT is definitely your track, we would say human phys. But the great thing is, after 1 year, if you figure out maybe that's not the best fit, there's still time to come over to our department and complete everything necessary for the major and the concentration at that point in time.
Awesome. So we're about the 4-minute mark until the end of this session. And then students and parents and families, you can head on to our Straight Talk with Students for our student ambassadors to that webinar link. But if anyone has any last minute questions, I really encourage you to do those now. You'll also find contact information on the description that you use to get to this link. But you have about 4 more minutes. Just to follow up from Sonia's question is, can she take the 190 class without being a kinesiology major? And if you guys have any last minute questions, please feel free to do that.
I answered that. I answered it, but I only sent it to just Sonia. Sorry. Yes. So that's kind of why I said, if you are sort of interested in kines or sport management, you want to try to get into that 190 class either in the fall or in the spring. To at least just kind of dip your toe in the water, right? So our professors do a really good job of sort of explaining to you those differences, and you look at career paths. We have lots of guest speakers in there that sort of introduce what the career paths are within kinesiology as well as sport management. Yes, you absolutely can do that, and then you're not committed to either one, sport management or kines, but you've got 3 credits on your transcript, and you also have a writing enriched course, which goes towards your university core, and all students need 9 credits in writing enriched. So we kind of give you a double bang for your buck. What else? I feel like there's got to be some more questions.
Let's see. Well, what do some of you want to do? So Caitlin, like, what are you interested in?
Well, I'm undecided, but I'm more interested in sports management. So that's why I kind of showed up, yeah.
Do you know what area of sport management yet, or you're still?
Yeah, I'm not sure yet, but I'm just testing it out. So.
Cool. Max, what about you?
I definitely feel like I want to work more with like a sports team. Something more closer to that, I feel, with sports management.
Mm-hmm. Do you know what type of team? Are you a baseball? Basketball?
I'm a baseball, basketball, football fan, so I mean, kind of anything along those lines.
Okay. Finn, what about you?
I'm interested in a sports management minor, probably. I want to work with the sports team, probably soccer or maybe football.
So, and just so you know, we don't have a football team, so you'd have to turn. Okay. Carter, what about you?
We've had students intern with football teams. So.
I'm interested in a sports management minor, and I'm interested in doing something with baseball.
We have lots of opportunities for baseball within Gonzaga and then the Spokane Indians. You can look at the Spokane Indians website, and so many of the people who work there are.
I think half of them are our students.
Our students.
And Carter and I have been messaging back and forth, and his cousin graduated from here quite a few years ago, Brittany. So that's kind of fun.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much to everyone in the School of Education, and then all of you students, and to Kamala for coming and joining us. A bunch of them have put their direct emails in that chat if you guys wanted to check that out. There is general contact information on the GEL website, but of course, if you just look up their names on the Gonzaga website, you'll find their contact information. But I would really encourage all of our participants, students and families, to head on over to that student panel now. But thank you guys so much. This was really, really great.
Thank you all for coming.